Scotchie from our boys over at Orlando Magic HQ. Make sure you check out all the good stuff they're doing over there. And I've brought Luke on here to vent, maybe to be the voice of reason, because I'm wondering, is Jeff Weltman's seat getting a little bit hot? And Luke, I certainly hope it is, okay? This guy right here, the fire crotch, is lighting the fire on Jeff Weltman's seat because I'm a little beside myself. I'm a little beside myself with what we've seen with the team construction over the past couple years. Preparing to get on here with you, I did go back and just kind of look through the trades, and we forget, I think, second cousins, that Jeff Weltman, 2017. I don't want to make you feel old, but holy shit, it's been like 8 years that Jeff Weltman has been leading this team. And I'll temper these crazy thoughts in just a second, but let me be crazy right now. Because our team is 30th in three-point percentage right now. Jeff Weltman promised me, he promised you good people, you good second cousins, that there was going to be internal growth. Oh yeah, Jeff? How's this now? How's this internal growth now? And he knows, because we have sad Jeff Weltman here, man, he looks so broken. And I feel no sympathy or empathy for him because my heart is cold right now, Jeff, because you've put me in this frosty place. The frosty place.
Cold like the Orlando Magic.
Yes, exactly. Cold like the Magic from beyond the arc. And there he is. The score is 91-66 at this point. We're getting trounced by the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that just a year ago could not beat us on our home floor in the playoffs. We took them to 7 games, and man, it looks like night and day. It's a different team. And I talked about this with Peach on the reaction, but just kind of doing a little mirroring activity, you see what the Cavs have done. They drafted Darius Garland, they drafted Evan Mobley, they got Jared Allen a little bit earlier than that in a trade. And then they said, you know what? We like these young guys. We like Darius Garland. We like Evan Mobley. We want to go get a guy to bring this team to the next level. They go get Donovan Mitchell. Now they're saying, all right, well, what else do we need? We still need a shooter. We need a better wing defender. And so they go out and get DeAndre Hunter. They're putting their guys, especially their young guys, Darius Garland, who now can learn from Donovan Mitchell, one of the great point guards in the league, and Evan Mobley. They're putting shooting around him. They're putting him into positions to succeed. And maybe you say, like I had a discussion with Philip Rossman-Reich on Blue Sky. I'm done with Twitter. I'm done. Sick of all the stuff I'm getting on my feed. It's not a fair comparison. Yeah, okay, the Cavs had been a step ahead of us. But, man, look at the freaking Detroit Pistons, man. Like, they were the worst team in the league last year. They go out, they get a shooter and an awesome scoring guard in Malik Beasley. They get ex-Magic player Tobias Harris. They pay him way too much. But, again, a creator. He can hit a shot. He can finish a shot, right? Now they got Schroeder at the trade deadline. So they're surrounding Cade Cunningham with pieces, guys that can shoot, guys that can do things, guys that can do some stuff off the dribble when Cade is not on the floor. And look at Cade's having one of the best years of his life. And so what is it, the chicken or the egg? I'm not really sure. But look, these are all guys that we talked about in the offseason. And I don't feel like this is not a surprise. I hope it's not a surprise to Jeff Weltman. And it's definitely not a surprise to us. He went on Mike Bianchi's show and said, hey, you know, some teams were trying to leverage us and really trying to put us over at the trade deadline. Okay, fine. But Tyus Jones is making like $3 million, $6 million in freaking Phoenix. And maybe he thought he was going to win. But you're telling me you couldn't get the assist to turnover leader in the league for like $10 million? You don't think he would have come to the Magic for $5 or $6 million more? It'd be really nice to have that steadying hand so that Paulo and Franz don't have to do everything. Malik Beasley was a free agent. Philip Rossman-Reich, I brought up a couple times. That was like his number one guy who he wanted for the Magic. I was the Tyus Jones stan. Dennis Schroeder, we could have united the German team. It would have been amazing with Moritz and the Franz and the Dennis. Like, they already have that built-in camaraderie. You got Tristan da Silva. They could be speaking German, freaking the other teams out. Like, that's a crazy second unit. And Dennis, not a great shooter, but Tyus has been shooting well. Malik Beasley. Other shooters were out there, man. This was a predictable problem that we are now in. And even though the injuries were like out of nowhere with Paulo and Franz, this has been an injury-laden team, and you gave extensions to WCJ and Jonathan Isaac, who have been in and out of the lineup injured throughout this year. So it's like, this is a problem that you created, so I'm sorry, Jeff. I love you, but I don't feel any sympathy for you in this moment while you're, sleeping in the bed that you made right now, sir, because all of us Magic fans with no power to do anything about it just have to sit here and watch it too. All right, Luke. I'm done.
That was good.
That's it.
No, that was good. That was good. Yeah. I do think it is very, very understandable to be at least a little bit concerned for Jeff Weltman's, I guess, job safety at this point. Just because, again, like, this is the first year where you can definitively say, at least as of right now, there hasn't really been much improvement at all in going into the direction that you want to go in.
Regression, Luke.
Yeah, since Jeff Weltman took the mantle 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And part of that, I do think, is on him. Other parts of it, I don't necessarily think are his fault. Parts that I will say I think are among the biggest concerns, you brought it up a little bit, are the shooting. The shooting has absolutely not been there. As you said, the Magic are dead last in three-point percentage. And I do think a part of it is not Jeff Weltman doing more, but I do think it's a little bit like a little erroneous to say that he hasn't at least tried. I was of the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope mind frame that this is a guy that I like that was my number one for the offseason. You had your Tyus Joneses. I wanted Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and we got him. And we got him expecting him to be this elite shooter.
Yeah.
That has not happened. And we drafted both Jet Howard and Caleb Houston, both were Weltman picks, with the expectations that those guys were going to develop into elite defenders that could stick on the court a little bit more and have something to show for it other than their shooting, which they were already good at.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say that, or nobody can say that Jeff Weltman has never drafted a shooter, because he's done that at least twice. If you want to include Tristan da Silva, at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, I do think, arises in which it's more of what Jeff Weltman doesn't do that I think is worthy of criticism than the things that he does do. Because there absolutely are things that I do think could have made a real difference. And you alluded to it earlier, Kyle, but it's absolutely that trade deadline, man. We'd make a single trade. And it's easy to say that he had his hands under his ass. It's easy to say that when it doesn't seem like there's anything like when he wants to make an excuse, give the sweet nothings that you said he gives in his last videos. But I don't think that's the case. And I think most people realize that that's not the case, because I do think he tried. I think there's a different problem that Jeff Weltman has when it comes to trading, because contrary to what I think the narrative is surrounding him, I don't think that Jeff Weltman is afraid of making big moves. We were all there for 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Our all-star Nikola Vucevic, our fan favorite Aaron Gordon, and 7-year member of the team Evan Fournier, our 3 best players, completely gone. If that's not a big trade deadline, I don't know what is. But what do those 3 deals have in common? Those deals were made under at least the assumption that the Magic were going to win them, because we got a lot back for Vooch. We got a traded player exception for Evan Fournier on, I think it was his last year. And while I don't think that we won the Aaron Gordon trade, if I remember correctly, Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a pick, that was seen as a good deal for a guy who hadn't really shown a lot of his potential to be the guy the Magic wanted to be in Aaron Gordon. the thing with Jeff Weltman is that he kind of falls into this trap that a lot of GMs make. Very, very, very willing to make deals and make decisions that he knows he can nail, which is why he has been a very, very good drafter over the course of his time with the Magic. And that's something that I really do believe. When he makes decisions, he nails them. The problem is he's afraid to make decisions that he thinks that there's a, or at least that I think, this is not coming from any journalistic thing other than speculation. It just seems to me that he doesn't want to make trades that that they don't feel comfortable making. And if you want to, and you have to get your hands a little bit dirty. You have to lose trades to win trades. You have to go out there, find every avenue possible. It was rumored that they were talking to the Bulls about Kobe White. And with all due respect to the Chicago Bulls, you had to seriously overthink make a move with the Chicago Bulls, a team that you made a trade with before and won. So I do think that there's valid criticism when it comes to Jeff Weltman, that I do think, of course, he could be doing his job a little bit better. But I guess to sit here and say that one bad stretch, the first time there's really been true regression with the Magic this year, I don't think that that's indicative of a plateau or a ceiling or anything that Jeff Weltman is responsible for.
Yeah. No, and that's why you're here, Luke. You're talking me off the ledge. Voice of reason. I appreciate the context. I guess I'll rip him just one more thing, and then I'll get a little reasonable with you. There were some, I think Brian the horse, just tweeted something. I forget exactly what platform he put it out through, but the fact that Jeff Weltman, some GMs were telling him that they know Jeff is kind of open for calls and will receive calls, but isn't making the calls. That he's not really going to be the guy who's being proactive, who's trying to wheel and deal. And I think that is, like you said, you gotta make deals to win deals. Sometimes you're going to lose. It seems he's a little trigger shy, and at this point, it's gotten us kind of bereft of what we need: spacing and a little bit more playmaking around Paolo and Franz. And so now we see a really stuck offense, a great defense, but unfortunately our offense can't score more points than our defense is stifling, but still giving up. So we're having a really rough patch, and it's looking like a tough end of the season. Now, we're a little tongue-in-cheek here with this thumbnail. Is he on the hot seat? I don't think so. I mean, his extension, I believe, that he got in 2022 is through next season, and I don't foresee Alex Martins or the DeVosses like getting rid of him prematurely based on his track record, because he has done a tremendous job in assembling talent. And looking back with his kind of mentor, John Hammond, back in what they did in Milwaukee, it was a little while. It was into Giannis's second contract, I believe, the first year where they pushed the chips in and got Drew Holiday. So I think we're going to be seeing something similar, that we're going to see a chips in move, I believe now, this offseason. I think he would have liked to actually wait a little bit longer, but it seems like the play on the court is going to force his hand maybe even sooner than he wanted. But we could see that kind of chips in, let's get that missing piece move this offseason. And, this is the situation that he created. So, yeah, he's had a great track record of drafting these big wings, right? Paolo and Franz, you got to give him credit for that. It's one of the most valuable positions, if not the most valuable position in the league. Tristan da Silva looks like another one of those guys, Swiss Army knife, like tough nose, wing type of player. But he hasn't really done well with some of the other draft picks along the way, right? He's tried to do the same thing with Chuma Okeke. That didn't really work out. The guards he's kind of gone after haven't really panned out. The Markelle Fultz trade was, hey, we loved it at the time, still love it. I wish Markelle would have worked out, but that pick that we sent turned into Tyrese Maxey, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Imagine Tyrese Maxey on this team. Now, I don't like to litigate those past things because it was the Sixers that drafted that guy. We can't say that we would have drafted Tyrese Maxey, but it seems like he has this intense infatuation with positional size and defensive versatility, which is a great, it's a one way to build a team. That's why he went after Jonathan Isaac with the number 6 pick in the Trae Young, Luka oh, no, I'm sorry. That is the Mo Bamba, the pick. You saw that kind of lengthy that he liked in the Trae Young, Luka Doncic pick draft. Man, I wish we were a couple spots higher than that. But that's like Colin Sexton's in that draft. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's in that draft. Mikal Bridges is in that draft, drafted just after Mo Bamba. And I think sometimes he gets a little blinded by that positional size and defensive versatility. In the Jonathan Isaac draft, you had Lauri Markkanen right behind him. Donovan Mitchell was there. Bam Adebayo. All these guys kind of drafted afterwards. I'm not going to kill him on that because that's all hypothetical. But is his seat hot? I don't think so. I do think this is an area where he really needs to pivot. And you can see it in his face that I think he realizes that too. The Jet Howard pick is not aging well. He was a shooter, but the guy can barely get on the court, and that's a number 11 overall pick. Anthony Black at 6 is great, but is he exactly what this team needed at this point in time? I don't know. And I think there is a little bit of malpractice in taking for granted how good Paolo and Franz are and not putting the spacing around them to succeed, because these are our guys and we want the environment. We want them to get a lot of on-ball reps and be doing difficult things that maybe take them out of their comfort zone, but we also want them in an ecosystem that is most advantageous to their development. And this year where I've already talked about the moves that could have been made in the offseason to address some of that. This year is almost like a lost year. Yes, because of the injuries, but also because of they're just running into walls. Franz and Paolo are running into walls every single night in the paint, and there's no one that can make a shot around them. And I think this is a tough pill to swallow for Jeff Weltman, but hopefully he figures it out. And I think we are going to see a big move in the offseason. Do you have any – you said your offseason wish list was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, which I like that pickup but when you look at it in retrospect, it also is a little bit of a clunky team-building move, Luke, because you brought in a really good shooting guard and you already have a really good shooting guard. I think the idea for Jalen, and I'm talking about Jalen Suggs, was that, hey, let's see if he can develop into the point guard. I think that was pretty clear, at least from my point of view, very early in the season that, that experiment we tried in his rookie year, it's still not working, and Jalen Suggs is a shooting guard in the NBA. And it's a little frustrating to me because you saw him every day in practice. We didn't. You should have known that. You should have known that Jalen Suggs is a 2. And what we really needed this offseason was not Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's like a slightly lesser version of Jalen Suggs. We needed a point guard to, again, complement Jalen Suggs, to complement Paolo and Franz. And now I'll get back to that other question I was about to ask you. If this is kind of a chips-in offseason, which I have the inkling and the feeling that it's going to be, we're going to see some type of big trade or big move for us, and like a point guard or some type of that's what I'm thinking. Is there someone that you would want that you think fits this team really, really well? Have we talked about this already? No, I talked about this with someone else. No, I want to hear your answer to this question.
That is something that I honestly haven't really considered.
Okay.
If only because I want to see a little bit, 1 or 2 more seasons of Anthony Black, because he's 21 years old, and he's shown flashes that he can be at least a somewhat capable 3-point shooter. And I do think that a lot of the issues for the Magic are related to the guys that are not Paolo or Franz, but the guys around Paolo or Franz. And again, like I said, I wanted Kentavious Caldwell-Pope more than anything, but I'm not fully ready to say like to just completely eat crow
Yeah.
over that in 1 year of a 3-year deal, but you can see the shooting numbers are not where they should have been, especially given somebody who's aging. And so
Mm.
I don't know. There are a couple smaller names that I've had.
So you're looking at
Guys,
periphery moves. You're still not
I'm
thinking
looking.
this is the
Yeah,
all in season. You don't think this is the all in off season.
I don't think it's an all-in off season. I would have said it was an all-in off season
Yeah.
if we didn't have all these injuries.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because I don't think that we really have a good idea of what
Yeah.
this roster looks like together. They've played a total of 5 games together, Paolo, Jalen, and Franz,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's just frustrating as a Magic fan to be like, all right,
Yeah,
we're in data collection mode again, because that was kind
of
of the
course.
MO last year and the year before. We're just trying to see what this team is. And I do kind of
Like,
disagree
yeah,
with you on the Anthony Black. I don't think he's a shooter. I don't know if he'll ever be, 35% really. I think he's a great guard, but I just don't see him as the shooter. I think he needs a shooting guard next to him who can shoot the lights out and kind of hide that deficiency in his game.
absolutely. And if that is where you are with Anthony Black, I 100% see the move in trading him. And of course, you could obviously get drastically better with a trade that would almost certainly uh, involve Anthony Black. Um,
Right. Yeah,
what's the move?
yeah, that's a
What's
problem.
the
That's
move
the problem.
for
And
what is the move for this Magic team? That's the thing. Like I'm looking through right now. There are there aren't a ton of guys that I can really see. I mean, I don't know if Anthony Simons is a big move.
yeah.
Yusuf Nurkic reportedly mentioned that the Magic should get Anthony Simons, and I do 100% agree with that take. I think he's somebody the Magic should be considering making some kind of move for.
Right.
Um,
You would hope that that was someone that Weltman was inquiring about, and
yeah,
Portland was trying to rake us over the coals and try to no,
that would
not
be
Cole
it.
Anthony, the hot coals, and trying to just get too much for what Jeff Weltman wanted. And I do think Simons is a nice piece, but I don't know if he's that guy that brings you to champion level contention. Devin Booker
Exactly.
is the guy, I
Ooh,
think, for me,
okay. Oh,
over
you're
like a
swinging
Trey
big.
Young. Oh yeah, well I mean the Suns are
Oh,
in a
we're talking.
shitstorm right now. They're having a more disappointing season than us, and so it's already Kevin Durant's already out the door, and how much do they bring that thing down to the studs? Devin Booker's their franchise guy. He might be kind of the only one not to go, but they got traded for Bradley Beal, who has a no trade clause, so they're freaking morons. And that's the thing to remember here. I am, the contract for Weltman is through 25-26, and that's the only thing that gives me hesitation with him in this moment, because I'm okay to be irrational, right? I'm just a dude. I'm a teacher. I just get on this mic and yell silly things. It's totally fine for me to be irrational and want to do a chips in all in move, but I don't want my general manager feeling like that. And we've
Hmm.
had that feeling when we had Rob Hennigan, who was going into the last year of his contract, who made potentially one of the most moronic moves in the history of the franchise, because he felt like he needed to do something to get this team to another level immediately, and he traded for Serge Ibaka and gives up Domantas Sabonis and Victor Oladipo and just like pretty much the franchise. Imagine if we would just had a little bit more patience. So I'm just gonna try to woosah. I'm gonna drink my mellow. I'm just gonna chill, and
Yeah,
I'm just gonna trust that Weltman will be patient and will make the right move, because you're right. He has won the trades a lot of times when he makes them.
absolutely. And that's a very, very good lesson that we've learned over the past decade, decade and a half with this Magic team.
Yeah.
It is very important to make moves. And we're not seeing the moves that we would like to see. We're not getting that Shams notification saying
Yeah.
breaking the Orlando Magic
Uh,
that we hoped to see. But it is even more important not to make moves for the sake of making moves. If you're going to make a move, you got to have a really, really good reason why you're making that move. And Jeff is good at making moves when he wants to make those moves. The problem is that he doesn't know how to leave his comfort zone a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think, like you were saying earlier, this could be an offseason that forces his hand. And I do think that if the Magic want to get better right now, and get to that championship contention right now, that's a very, very valuable thing. Like, I know I said that I'm still looking at the peripheries right now a little bit, but I do think that there is a ton of merit in packaging a couple of the young guys and right now
Mm.
and getting a real star. Because I don't think you have a perfect idea of what the roster looks like, but you do have somewhat of an idea, and you know what your weaknesses are and you know what your strengths are.
Mhm.
And so taking a little bit from your strengths and pouring it into weakness, my dream target, I don't know how realistic it is because I don't think they want to give him up right now, to be honest. But if they were, Trae Young,
Okay. Yeah.
I would love to see Trae Young on this team,
Yeah.
and I'd be happy to get rid of, or not get rid of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind sending people that aren't um, Paolo, Suggs, and Franz to Atlanta in a deal for Trae Young.
Right.
But that's because he's Trae Young.
Yeah.
That's because he is a star who does everything that we need. If you're going to make a move, and I don't doubt that Jeff Weltman wouldn't make that move if he's able to get the Hawks to align
Mhm.
on that. And obviously this is not a thing that like any of us know is going to happen. I'm pretty sure that they're trying to just retool around him, so I don't know if that is a thing that the Atlanta Hawks are even willing to pursue. But if it is something that they are willing to pursue, I honestly don't have any doubt that Jeff Weltman wouldn't push those chips in.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's tough to make moves for periphery pieces because the guys that we were complaining about were guys like Kobe White, guys like Anthony Simons, guys who fill holes but don't elevate the team more than that.
Yeah.
But with someone like Trae Young, that is a guy who is an all-star, a guy that is really, really good at what the Magic need, shooting, spacing, and a guy who's really adept with the ball in his hands
Yeah.
uh, as a point
Spacing,
guard playmaker.
like from the logo,
Absolutely.
like from the logo,
From the
like
logo trick.
yeah.
Like I don't think Magic fans are ready for a world where Trae Young is shooting
I
from
know.
from Kissimmee. But at the same time, it's like these are moves like you push chips in for guys like Trae Young.
Yeah.
You don't push chips in for guys like Serge Ibaka. And that's
Yeah.
what Rob Hennigan did in 2016 when he traded Victor Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis, and Ersan Ilyasova for that was 1 year of Serge Ibaka. I mean, we won in the end because we got Terrence Ross out of it, but from a basketball perspective, that was one of the worst moves I think we've ever made in franchise history.
Yeah.
And that was because Rob Hennigan desperately wanted to make a move,
Mm-hmm.
and he made a move.
Yeah.
It did not work. It certainly did not work when we signed Bismack Biyombo right after.
Yeah.
But it's a move that Rob Hennigan made, to be honest, for the sake of making a move. I don't think that there's been a move that Jeff Weltman has made that has actively made me question him, his intelligence, or his leadership ability. There have been a couple of non-moves that have made me go, dude, come on.
Right.
Season's on the line, but at the same time, these are moves that I can rationalize. Like, yeah, I get it. This is a season that I don't know if we're ready to admit is lost. And that might have been something that Jeff Weltman was a lot more conservative on because he knows that we don't want to sacrifice too much for a season in which no one was expecting this to be a championship year anyway.
Right.
Maybe a second round, get the guys a little more playoff experience. Those were your real goals for that season. There is regression, but to be honest, I don't think we've deviated too far behind where we wanted to go.
Well,
So
all those possibilities are still up in the air. Like we can still get into a first round game. We could even still win some playoff games. So that's still there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And with the Magic, Jeff Weltman is the guy who has really made his MO about two things: getting long and lengthy guys and making sure that everything is in place and that there is a firm direction that he's committed toward before making big, drastic moves.
Yeah.
And this is not a team, to be quite frank, this is not a team that has shown, in my opinion, any readiness to make any of those big, drastic moves that would require, pushing in a lot of these chips, getting a real true difference maker. Again, would love to have more guys on the periphery. And I do think that in the offseason, in free agency, those are guys that I think that we should pursue for sure. But you're not going to just sell Anthony Black for someone like Anthony Simons or Kobe White. That just doesn't make sense. And this is not to say that was the decision that Jeff Weltman was actively made. I don't know if anyone asked for Anthony Black in any trade, but I don't hate what Jeff Weltman's doing right now. I can't say I love it as a fan of a guy. I mean, as a guy who loves both the Magic and basketballs going into Nets, it's really not fun to see Jeff Weltman not do anything this trade deadline. I think we were one of 3 or 4 teams to have not made a single trade this entire season.
Right.
And it just doesn't. But I don't think that warrants Jeff Weltman's job. I don't think he's looking at the Cleveland score and saying, yes, this is exactly where I want to be. No more moves are necessary. I mean, we saw it. You're looking at it right now, I presume. Jeff Weltman's expression with that score bug in there.
I'll put it up.
That is the face of a man who knows that there is still work to be done. And like you said, he still has another year left of his contract that he signed in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
I
we
think,
will see what he does.
This is going to be good.
We'll see what he does with that last year. What would you like to see him do, Second Cousins, in the offseason? Are you more siding with me here and thinking there's a big move in the near future? Or are you more with Luke thinking, let's just have some periphery moves and let's build out a better team just around our 2 guys? We will see. Thank you so much for coming through, Second Cousins. Make sure to come and hang out with us down in Orlando on March 29th. Going to be down there with Peach for Court Cousins Night, the family reunion. Details for that are in the links. And make sure you go check out Luke's, all his work and all the guys at Orlando Magic HQ. Follow him at LScotchie34. Thanks as always for coming through, Luke. Appreciate your time, and peace out, everybody.